All right, this is some homework help for Form K for lesson Unit 12, Math 2, Unit Lesson 7, or B3, depending on how it's laid out there. So here we go. We're going to be using the quadratic formula to solve these equations. Again, the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to plug our numbers in for our a's, b's, and our c's. So when I look at number 1, my a value is here at 3, my b value is going to be a 1, and my c value is a negative 4. Those are the values I will use for solving this equation. Okay, so this takes a little bit of paper, a little bit of space, so make sure you have some area to work with in order to solve these here. So let's look at number 1 first of all. Number 1, I'm going to write the side here. I'm going to do negative b, and my a is 3, my b is 1, and my c is negative 4. So negative b will be a negative 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared, 1 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times a c, which is negative 4, all divided by 2 times a, which was a 3. So that's how I set it up using the quadratic formula. Now it's a matter of just solving this and working it out. So I end up with negative 1 plus or minus 1, it's going to be 1 minus 4 times 3 times 4 is actually going to be a positive 48. So that comes together to be a positive 48. 48 plus 1 is 49. So I have the square root of 49 over 2 times 3, which is 6. All right? So moving along here, this becomes negative 1 plus or minus, well, square root of 49 is 7. So plus or minus 7 over 6, which means I'm going to have two solutions here. I have negative 1 plus 7, negative 1 plus 7 over 6, and I also have negative 1 minus 7 over 6. Negative 1 plus 7 over 6 is going to be 6 over 6, which equals 1, and this becomes negative 8 over 6, which reduces to negative 4/3. Those become our two solutions for number 1. Let's look at number 5. Number 5. Again, I have my a value is 3, my b value is negative 13, and my c value is 4. So these values just aren't as pretty to work with, but it still works the same, and it does work out so far with some nice numbers in the end. So I have negative b, which is negative 13, so minus a minus, be careful about that, plus or minus the square root of negative 13 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is 4, all over 2 times 3. So some similar numbers once again as last time. So that becomes negative 13, and a negative in front becomes just regular 13, plus or minus the square root of 13 squared is 169. Negative 4 times 3 times 4 is still going to be 48, but this time it's all going to be negative, so I have a negative 48 all over 6. Alright, so keep on reducing here, so keep on solving, I should say. 13 plus or minus 169 minus 48 is 121 over 6. The square root of 121 is 11, so this becomes 13 plus or minus 11 over 6. My two solutions will end up being 13 plus 11 over 6 and 13 minus 11 over 6. 13 plus 11 is 24 over 6, which equals 4, and 13 minus 11 is 2 over 6, which is simply reduced down to 1/3. And those are my two solutions for number 5. 4 and 1/3 for number 5. Let's take a look now at, the order I'm going to go in is number 9 first, and then we'll look at 7. So let's look at 9 first of all. We have h squared plus 12h, and we need to move that over. It becomes plus 16 equals 0 to set up the right way. For this section, I want you to round your answers nearest hundredth, which tells me they're going to give you some crazy numbers to work with. So here we go. My a is 1, my b is 12, and my c is 16. Right? My a, b, and c. So we end up with negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16 all over 2a, which is, a is 1, so 2 times 1. Alright, so that's what we're working with here. It becomes this, negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared is 144, and negative 4 times a positive 16 is going to be 16 and 4, 4, 2, 4, 64. It's going to give me a negative 64 all over 2. That becomes 12 plus or minus 144 minus 64 is 80. So there's where my ugly number shows up at 80 divided by 2. Okay, so the square root of 80 is actually, when I work it out as a decimal, is going to be about 8.94 and divided by 2 once again. Oh, I lost my negative. Be careful you don't do what I just did. Notice my negative 12 was here. Over here I forgot it. Oops, put it back there. Put it back there. Otherwise I get a totally messed up answer. And now you just work it out. Negative 12 plus 8.94 is one solution. Negative 12 plus 8.94 divided by 2. And another solution is going to be negative 12 minus 8.94 over 2. When I solve both of those out, I end up with approximately negative, when I do that, I end up with two. I get negative 10.47 and a negative 1.53. Those become my two solutions for that crazy equation right there. That's number 9. So number 9 can be solved, no problem. Number 7, I had a little bit of trouble with 7. I'm still not sure what the book is doing. Maybe I have a different book. I'm not quite sure. Because my A value is 1, my B value is negative 4, and my C value is negative 4. So let me show you how I solved it and my solution here, but I know that the book answer key gives something a little different, and so you may want to ask about that or see why that is the case, because I tried it about 2 or 3 times and I'm just making some error maybe, or else the book could be wrong. Never know. So to do this right, I have negative B, which is negative times a negative 4, plus or minus. Oh, I think I finally saw what I did, actually. Never mind. I know what I did. I'm going to get it right this time. Here we go. Plus or minus that. We do b squared, which is negative 4 squared, and then minus 4 times 1 times a negative 4 over 2a, which is, again, 1. So 2 times 1. So we solve this out. Negative times a negative becomes a positive 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared is 16, and then this becomes a negative times negative plus 16 over 2. So I end up with 4 plus or minus the square root of 32, over 2. All right, continue this down here. So square root of 32 is approximately 5.66. Okay, 5.66 divided by 2. So now when I get my calculator out this time, it's always good to check your work. So here I'm checking it for the 3rd time, and I realize, I know what I did wrong. So let's see here. When I check my work here, I'm going to do the math. I have 4 plus 5.66 equals that, divided by 2, and I have 4.83 as one solution. And then I also have 4 minus 5.66 divided by 2, which is a negative 0.83 as the other solution. And that is actually what the book says. So as I'm talking myself through it, I realized, yes, I got it right this time. And I'll tell you where I made my mistake, is I went back here, for whatever reason, in my head, when I moved that to that, I ended up squaring it for some reason. It's the one underneath here, it's squared. I did it there correctly on my original notes, but messed up there. So, found my error, which was good, and those are the correct solutions. So, you're all good there. 4.83 and also negative 0.83 are my two solutions for number 7. Okay, hope that helps a bit. Have a great day.